Welcome to the event. We're really happy that you're here. We're about to go live in just a few moments, but before we lift off, there's a few important things we want to make sure that you're aware of so you get the best possible experience out of this. First of all, the sound current is supremely important to us, the musical experience. So if possible, we really encourage you to use good speakers or headphones to experience the class with. Second, if you have any pre-existing injuries, please take care of yourself, modify as you need to. Don't risk exacerbating an injury because of a yoga exercise. If you have any pre-existing medical conditions and you're not quite sure if this would be good for you, please consult with your primary healthcare practitioner and make sure it's the right thing for you. Also, make yourself relatively comfortable. You can use a cushion, and in fact, we encourage you in our seated positions, meditation practices, to use a cushion. It helps lift the heart up, keep the spine straight, and it's more ideal for the flow of energy in the body and for the meditation experience. You can even be sitting in a chair with feet flat on the floor for those of you that are unable to sit in a meditative sitting posture on the floor. Just use a chair, and for many of the exercises, that will work perfectly fine. And then lastly, if you're having any problems with the video streaming, try refreshing the page, or if you see a gear icon on the video, adjust your resolution. If you're new to this type of thing, just take care of yourself. If there's something that you don't quite understand, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Everything that needs to click will click after a few times of trying it out. Enjoy the experience. We're about to get started in just a moment. Beautiful. Welcome. Happy Equinox. It's good to be here with everybody. And it's the equinox, so are you somewhere comfortable? Are you somewhere where you're going to have room to move? Are you somewhere where you're going to be able to give yourself a good full system reset in the next, 60 to 90 minutes? It'll go by really quickly. It always does. These things are a bit of a journey in the sense they do seem to warp the sense of time and space when you start working with meditation practice, when you start working with our life force, our prana, because it changes the inner mental and emotional space. It helps the life force center itself in the nervous system, and then the mind calms down, and the mind becomes more cooperative, which is what we really want, because if we're doing this type of stuff, you're the type of person who would even be remotely drawn to anything like meditation practice, yoga practice. The intent is good. And I think if you go deep down enough to every living being, the intent is good. That's the idea, is at the center of us is a supreme intelligence, a supreme love. And to allow that to come forth, allow that to shine forth. And that's at the center of every living thing, not us, just us. There's not something so just special about us because we would do meditation. This is every living being at the nucleus. So then we become concerned and care about every living being, because every living being has the possibility to let its light shine. And then we all benefit from that. So why wouldn't we be concerned about every living being? Because we're all intertwined with each other. It benefits benefits me for you to shine, and vice versa. Real shine. The shine of when the heart is blossoming, when we're feeling connected to what our life is all about. And we ourselves are experiencing compassion. We're experiencing compassion first for our own predicament, our own mind and body. If I can't have compassion for my own suffering, then how am I going to really have great compassion for anyone else? This starts each with ourselves. If I haven't figured out how to love myself, my ability to love you is limited, definitely. And so this is an important starting point, always, I think, and so many others agree, before beginning any meditation, yoga practice, is that you take a moment And we remember that how our lives are intertwined with all other lives. And so all the things that we are all genuinely desiring, happiness, we want to experience love, we want to experience longevity. These are the natural, innate desires of the living being. And so by feeling into our interconnectivity, it helps us connect to a sense of purpose, because sense of purpose always has to do with more than just our own life and our own predicament. It has to do with how does our life serve the bigger thing, whatever it may be, whatever this mythology we're living in is, of the mystery of our lives. What is this all about? So going into a meditative state by centering the prana life force in the body helps us to connect into that subtle nature of life, which is where we find joy, which is where we find realization. It's where we find wisdom. It's where we find the wisdom that applies uniquely to our life. And not just our life, but our life right now. And when we're at the equinox day, like we are today, and then some people will be taking this class through the weekend, and on Sundays, the new moon is just a fine time to be doing this type of inner work. The moon is dark. It's almost at its darkest. So that naturally encourages us to be more introspective during that time of the month, relative to us. And so when you have the equinox happening right now, it's not only an excellent time to do yoga practice, but it's, I think, also an excellent time to take a moment and think about where we're going. And also, perhaps, think about where we've been in this last season. First, you had the winter solstice, and then it goes into the spring equinox, and then you have the summer solstice, and then it goes to the autumn equinox. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's the autumn equinox. If you're in the summer hemisphere, it's the spring equinox. But each time it's relatively a day of equal light. Different places in the world experience that equalization. If you're closer to the equator, it can be more exact, but if you live some other way up north where there's months of the year where it actually never does get light, well, it's different. But either way, taking a moment at the equinox to in a certain way ritualize it by coming together to do a practice helps us to stay attuned to the natural cycles, nature, and all around the world, all the indigenous peoples have known and taught, and Ayurveda and yoga is absolutely the same, that the key to health is to be in good harmony with our nature as it expresses itself as our bodies. Our bodies, we're not outside of nature. We are an expression. Our bodies and our minds are an expression of nature. And so you have this inner nature, this inner type of universe that parallels the outer nature and outer universe. And so by being in harmony with our inner nature, it gives us the wisdom on how to be in harmony with our outer nature. Both are important. But if the starting point is experiencing ourselves, is not going in an outward direction of self-discovery, but first going in an inward direction of self-discovery, and let that cause the outside to harmonize. And this is how we experience our purpose. So right now, we're moving also into the last final phase of a 2.5-year Saturn transit that changed all of our lives. It started in the very end of 2019 into 2020 when Saturn entered Capricorn, and then Jupiter followed. And all of our lives changed through all sorts of things. It expressed itself as a global pandemic. We don't have to go. We all know. We were all there. We all experienced it collectively. But it was one of the I thought one of the more impactful aspects of it is because we're now living in such a highly connected global environment that we all went through a type of catastrophe together. Like nobody was unaware of it. Everyone was experiencing it together. And so this did change the way of existence on planet Earth, I think, in some sort of substantive way, of which we're just starting to understand. But we can get the language of that. That's why I love the astrological language, because we already have language for it. If you understand what it means when Saturn's coming into Capricorn and also Jupiter will be there at the same time, creating that grand conjunction where Saturn is dominating strong in Capricorn and Jupiter is at its weakest point in the sky. And so this was a transformative experience for us. So that journey of Saturn in Capricorn takes approximately 2.5 years. Because he goes forward and then he retrogrades back, and he's called Shani. Shani means slow moving, and of all the visible planets, Saturn is the slowest. It takes approximately 2.5 years for him to get through a constellation. He goes forward, he retrogrades back. If you have your moon in Capricorn or some other focal point of your horoscope in Capricorn, he's been doing that over your moon or your ascendant or whatever. He went over top of it and then backed up and then went over top of it, maybe backed up. Relentless. But this is the nature of things. This isn't, everyone feels scared of Saturn. But this is also the expression of love intelligence. We forget that sometimes because Saturn brings the bitter medicines and represents the parts of life that we don't like. It's constricting energy. Nobody likes to pass away. Saturn represents time. He's the ruler of time. So the ruler of time also is always the ruler of death. They're the same thing, really. Beyond time is life. Beyond time is beyond the realm of birth and death, those two doors. You come through the doorway of birth, and one day we go through the doorway of death. And so the journey of the yogi is to experience, what is it that continues? What is it that is not subject to this rhythm of time? That is not subject to the door, the birth and the death? What is this? I think we all know it already because we experience love all the time, and love is timeless. I was just watching the clouds moving through the sky today. We had it was really blessed rain here in Northern California this time of the year. It's quite rare to get a rain like this, but it's so it comes with so much. You experience so much gratitude for it because we've all been breathing wildfire smoke, and you're worried that the fire is going to come near, in your neighborhood if you live in the forest like we do especially. And so when the rains come this early, it's like such a relief. And it's like, you get to experience how precious water is. When I was from the Southeast, I didn't understand it. I moved out here to California. I thought Californians were weird, like how much they liked rain. Because I grew up in where there's, kind of too much of it a lot of the time. I grew up in a humid, moist environment. So that we all have different environments. And so some people have the more humid environment of their body. They have more earth and water. Whereas other people have more of a desert-like environment of just their constitution. They have more air and ether or fire. And so each of us are totally unique. And by doing these types of exercises, especially on an equinox time, where it's a natural time to recalibrate things, we're taking notice of where we've been. We're paying attention to the journey ahead this last season. In the very beginning of 2023, Saturn will exit Capricorn for good for another 27 and a half or so years. Bravo. We did a good job. We got through it. We're doing good. So this last little bit is kind of the final kind of distillation of what we've been, I think, learning. Not ultimate distillation, but for this phase of our process, of this time of having Saturn in his home in Capricorn, slowing us down, causing us to look at our karmas. This is what Saturn does. It causes us to look at our behaviors. You could say, if we don't have to use the word karmas, we can say, look at our actions, look at what we're doing. But usually look at what we're doing in the way that's causing us suffering and obstruction. So this is not a bad thing. Saturn's not a negative, but it causes us to look at how we're causing ourselves and others and the nature herself suffering. That's what he shows us. So people don't like that. But this is the brilliance of life. And so that's why that when working a bit with astrological language, but from the yogic context, you see, this is not astrology as much as this is yoga practice, using the language of astrology to help facilitate the yoga practice, versus using astrology to try to figure out what's going to happen. We're not trying to figure out what's going to happen. We're bringing our life force fully centered and we're experiencing reality as it is. That's our endeavor. And by that you experience how you are as you are, with once all the fluctuations, the insecurities and the worries, or the ego, or all the different complexities of our emotions and thoughts and desires, neuroses, etc., once they just settle a little bit, not permanently, they're coming right back, don't worry. But they settle for a little bit. And you can feel yourself again. It's like, And then when they do come back, I think they come back with a little less electricity because you strengthened your inner resolve. They don't hold as much power anymore. As you experience emotions, experience thoughts, experience desires, but not allowing them to rule us, not allowing them to dominate us, being the master of our own domain. Having good boundaries with our own mental processes and thinking, and making it a priority to experience our inner brilliance. Every living being has it. But it's going to express itself totally uniquely through you. That's why when we're comparing ourselves to others to try to tap into it, it never works. We can get inspired by others, but that inspiration is not comparison. Comparison leads to nothing useful. Because you're totally unique. There's nothing ever been like you. And so, therefore, the only one that can experience it is you. You first. And then we get to all experience it. And every person is precious. And we're so confused, in the world because we think we have, it's like psychological, viruses in a certain way. We think they have the psychological virus of superiority, where somehow if you have a membership to one club, you're somehow superior to the others. Like if you're born with a United States passport, somehow you're superior to someone who's growing up in Kuwait. We don't think that consciously, but subconsciously we've all been kind of conditioned. Not all, but just I'm talking as a collective, all across the world. That's just one variety of it. So to unravel all of this is to actually become more blissful. It seems like a little hard work. You don't want to think about that stuff. You don't want to think about how you're causing yourself suffering. But to do so is to create blissfulness, is to create happiness and joy, because who wants to be miserable? So I'm looking to identify some of my miserable habits and get rid of them, or at least, chill them out quite a bit. And so, because my goal is to be happy and to enjoy my life. That's how we find the purpose. And it feels the best to love and to be able to genuinely love unconditionally. It doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean lacking boundaries means lacking wisdom. So that's why the emphasis in beginning the practice is 1, compassion, the interconnectivity of all things. And then 2 is wisdom. And so it's the wisdom that shows us how to practice the compassion. It's the wisdom that shows us how to cultivate the compassion. But the compassion also keeps the ego in check. Because if you're starting to feel like, whoa, boom, and sometimes the ego can swell. So without that emphasis on the interwovenness of life and that every being is equally as precious as every other being, now that we have a blissful pathway. And so these become the centerpiece of it all. And then these practices that we do to help to change the oil, essentially. Take the car to the tune-up. This thing is not going to last forever, this body vehicle. And so keep it healthy so we can be happy and have fun and enjoy life, not some rigid stuff. We deal with some of the tough, heavy stuff in the practice so that we can be light and joyful, and that stuff is not holding weight on us at the level of our subconscious mind. Everybody knows they're going to die. So either you deal with it or you just leave it at the level of the subconscious mind. But if you can bring it up a little bit and embrace it, which is what Shani, Saturn, is asking, is to just pay attention to reality. Pay attention to the nature of things. And maybe you'll discover the thing that is not subjected to dying. And there comes real confidence. I know this is a kind of grandiose thing to talk about, but it's not. But it's totally natural. It's not something. It's really not super ordinary. It's just totally ordinary. It's part of living life and being connected to the source of what we are. But it's not an experience that we can really express very well with words. That's why we kind of have to dance around it, use the language in interesting ways. This is what Dharma talks are. Or using poetry, or using music, or using theater, or using all the arts, using how we raise our children. Here's where it starts to sweep into all the other facets of our life. The practice isn't because this is the spiritual part of the day and everything else is all the other shit we got to deal with. The whole idea is to turn the whole thing into the spiritual world, where you can't find a non-spiritual world. So, to me, that's a really fun thing. And it's not a fun thing based on delusion. It's a fun thing based on we're experiencing the depth of what we all are. And what that we're all about. We can't describe it. As soon as we attempt to, we'll fail. You can't talk it to someone else, but you can maybe spark it sometimes. And that's that. Sometimes even just with a smile. Not trying to proselytize, not trying to convince anyone of anything, but to actually serve life. Be happy. And out of our happiness, also, happiness is contagious. Just like that. Okay, so we're going to work out a little bit, just a little bit of workout. And get our vitality going so that we can really feel this. I know we can already feel it, but we can then kind of ground it into our body so it stays with us and that we can express ourselves through it. Okay, so if you're new to Kundalini Yoga, maybe some of this is a little bit of... it'll be new, but don't worry about too many of the details for today. The idea tonight is to just go on a beautiful journey together and to be present. Don't worry too much about how well you can do the exercises. Just do it the best that you can do it for your body right now. A lot of these you could even be sitting in a chair. Modify anything you need to modify, but see how much you can stay engaged in the whole thing. Try to if you can, put your phones away and put on do not disturb, unless you're doing this class on your phone. Then keep it. So that for just this little segment of time, really, we can make a real substantive adjustment that will help us. an adjustment that will tap our deeper vitality. And the mind will then be able to relax. And then you say, you can feel it. Okay? Take your hands into the prayer pose. It's like neutralization of the psyche, left and right. If it's a little cool, you can make a little heat, like you're going to bring some energy into your palms, because that's what we're doing. Inhale through the nose. Keep your chest lifted high, shoulder blades released. Exhale. Chin slightly in. Right on your sit bones connected. Inhale, please, very deep. Suspend the breath in for a moment. And exhale. And then with the mantra, vibrating like the frontal lobe, and the sounds coming down from the navel. Try that again, like this. So, this is going to vibrate frontal lobe. All of it, it begins from the navel. And then Namo is going to vibrate at, see if you can feel it in your chest, heart center. Can you feel like how you can use the sound current to tune up your instrument essentially? Guru Dev. Guru Dev Namo. Guru Dev. Suspended. Exhale. Okay, fantastic. Let's start to move our bodies. Come onto the hands and the knees. This little sequence of exercises into the meditation and into the gong is very beautiful, really blissful, but it takes a little bit of work. Your fingers are spread wide. You start to inhale, the head is coming up. Exhale, the head is coming down. Just go at your own pace. Through the nose, breathe. You can start off nice and slow, but as the spine starts to become more and more supple, you might gently increase the pace. Feel into your own body. Most importantly, depth of breathing through the nose. Put the emphasis on using your breath to help to circulate your life force, to help to kind of activate, to open up your life force and its channels. Inhale, please. Exhale. Okay, come back to sitting cross-legged or in a chair. So we're going to be using our breath. First things first. We're going to be using our body, but we're going to be using first thing, our breath. Ladies, if you're on your moon period, at this time, you can do a long, deep breath when we're doing more of the rhythmic breath of fire style breathing, like, because we're going to be doing some of this. Okay, so if you're pregnant or on your moon cycle, then instead of then you would go more like a deep, long, and nourishing. Okay, but it's still a good, nice pranic breath, meditative breath. Everything will benefit from more life force in your cells. Presence. Okay. Gyan Mudra, the index fingers to the thumb, palms facing up on your knees or legs. Inhale deep. And try like now inhale and exhale. The idea is to create equalization of the exhalation and inhalation. It's a little bit of a quick breath, but it's not too quick. The idea isn't to try to be aggressive with it, but rather to see if you can hit the rhythm. So if I hit the rhythm and get into the rhythm feel, then what's going to happen is I'm going to have a deep substantive breath without it being aggressive. So I'm not going to aggravate my fire. I'm going to strengthen my fire with rhythm. And when I strengthen my fire with good feel and good rhythm, now you're blending it with the watery qualities and with like Venus qualities, and it's getting more of a balance instead of just Mars. Yes, we need good Mars, but when there's too much of the masculine disposition of our psychology, then Mars can become a little bit overdone. And so instead of aggression, we want good strength of will. Just see if you can try. If you're newer to this, it might not be easy at first, but trust me, you just keep trying and it'll click. Now deep inhale. Suspend the breath, spacious of the mind, and exhale through the breath, through the nose. Okay, take your arms like this and shake them a little bit. Not too spacey, not too fast. We're actually wanting it to be nice and grounded and embodied. It's going to be spacey enough. It's kind of keep bringing it into the body after you enjoy your spaciness for a little bit. Okay? So we're going to do this again. Do you like the breath? Well, we're going to just keep working with it a couple more times. We'll hit the rhythm. It's going to serve us the whole rest of the time. Okay? First, take a deep inhale through your nose. Fully exhale. Now this time, hands like this. Palms facing forward. Index finger to your thumb. Chest lifted. Shoulder blades released. You're right on your sit bones, but it's also soft. It has the strength, and then it has the softness. The strength comes from lifting through your pelvic floor. That gives you structure at your foundation, solidity at your foundation, so you can soften in your heart. You can be spacious in your mind. This is Saturn at the Muladhara chakra. Create your foundation. Start first there. Don't overlook the reality of things. Chest lifted, shoulders release, eyes closed, the gaze. Where the root of the nose meets the skull bone, inhale deeply. Then inhale deeply. Suspend the breath. Lift through the pelvic floor. Soften the heart. And then the third eye, between the two eyebrows, where the root of the nose meets the skull bone. Have the gaze relax in that space. Exhale. Bravo. Relax for a moment. Enjoy the meditative space. Now, life force can start to move with nice ease. Mind can come into a state of relaxed awakeness, clarity, intuitive, enjoying our subtlety, our chi, our prana. It's beautiful. Okay, let's try this one. You're gonna have the same thing like this. This time, O-shaped puckered mouth. So your lips are puckered in an O shape. So it doesn't, once again, you have to find the rhythm. Then equalize the breath. Inhale through the mouth. Tighten the spine a bit. Then exhale firmly through the mouth. Inhale through the mouth. And exhale firmly through the mouth. Now inhale. And then out. Inhale. Suspend the breath for a moment. And exhale. Please relax. Beautiful. And please have a little bit of water. Always have water when you're doing this type of work, because the prana and the pranayama really relies on your level of moisturization, and the breath can be a little dehydrating, especially if you're doing it already dehydrated. So that's another reason why we're mindful of how aggressively we're breathing, especially when you're doing these type of more kind of strong pranayams. It doesn't have to be intense. It can. But if you're hitting that rhythm feel, it's going to come from your navel. Heart is lifted. Third eye goes the gaze. Relaxed mind, relaxed face, relaxed body. Inhale. Exhale. Yeah, it's wonderful. Okay, stretch your legs wide open. And flex the feet. Just a couple more of these preliminary exercises. Inhale to the center. And turn to either side. And don't worry about touching your toes. Just hinge forward. And exhale down. Inhaling up. And fill your lungs when you inhale up. And as you exhale down, hinge forward, leading from your heart. Your navel area. And every inhale, let you fill your lungs. Just another minute or so. Let's say now if you could open the legs even a touch wider, even if it's just a subtle half an inch. Make sure you're right on your sit bones, and please try to keep energy in your toes. And fill the lungs on your inhalation. And it's called opening the life nerve. Last few moments, a deep breath. Beautiful. Inhale, center. And relax, exhale. And just hinge forward a touch. See if you can please relax the groin area, but keep the feet tight. And see if you can soften through the mind and soften through your heart, chest. Allow your shoulder blades to release down the back some. And try to keep your chest open, lifted. And for just a few moments, a long, deep breath. It's actually a bit of hard work if you do it well, because it means you're bringing full presence and attention to the breath and the feel, the depth of it. It's endeavoring to resist the urge for the thing to end, resist the urge to have the desire for things to be somehow they're not, and just for a moment be totally compassionate to your body and your mind by working with your prana. As you inhale, you can even feel like the life force prana. Some of you will be able to even visualize it, how it travels down and fills your pelvic bowl with all your creative and eliminative organs. Your Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura chakra. And as you exhale, you might be able to feel how that prana lifts up through your heart and then fills the bowl of the skull with all the cerebral energy, the brain tissue, the intuitive pineal gland and pituitary, the thymus gland, Vishuddha chakra, Ajna chakra, Sahasrara chakra. And then back down, passing through the center heart. Anahata, the unstruck sound. It's attuning the instrument, paying attention to our life energy. This is what we are. Our life is our energy. Inhale deeply. Relax, shake your legs out. Then you're gonna come sitting cross-legged, ideally with a cushion, lifting yourself up on your sit bones. The hands will come to your ankles or shins. And as your chest lifts, you feel like the sit bones press down into the earth. And the sternum lifts as the sit bones press down. And on the lift, there's an inhalation through the nose, like this. Now keep going, but bring your hands to your knees. Lifting that through your chest. Ride the rhythm. Substantive breathing. Keep going, hands back to the shins. Third eye goes the gaze. Inhale deep. Suspension of the breath. Lift through the pelvic floor. Meditative gaze. Soft and spacious. And through your nose, exhale. Bring your hands up to your shoulders. Chest lifted, shoulder blades released, pelvic floor lifted. The inhales to the left. The exhales to the right. Deeper the breathing, please. the center. Inhale deeply. Suspension of the breath. Softness of the heart. Spacious of the mind. Softness of the gaze. And exhale. Hands to the knees. Like this. Or open up the upper back, releasing the stress and the tension, shoulders and upper back. But also it's opening. It's not just like getting rid of muscular tension. Use the breath to create openness. Every exhale, shoulder blades just release. Let gravity release them. Inhale, squeeze up. Squeeze out the tension a little bit. And release, exhale. And then gentle neck rolls. Keep your jaw relaxed, your tongue relaxed. There's no rush, my friends. This is called loving, self-nourishing. We're not going for repetitions here. We're going for love and feel and openness and glowing and growing. These are the same. Growing doesn't sound as fun as glowing, though, because sometimes growing is hard. Other direction. But the reality is we need both. Saturn is, say, the archetype of growing, and Jupiter is the energy of glowing. And inhale to the center. Okay, friends, here we go again. We're going to be using that breath, but first we're going to come onto the backs, okay? Here's where it gets very fun. So what I want us to do is come onto our backs, ready for a little bit of work. There's only a couple of these like this, but this is called making your vitality ready for the new season, is the name of this section. Okay? Making your vitality ready for the new season. This must begin with our navel point, from which all of our chi originates, is generated from, but it's just below your belly button, not the belly button itself. Yes, belly button is where we're connected to our mother, and this is where we're fed from the navel. But now that we're no longer with the umbilical cord, sometimes emotionally we're still a little with the umbilical cord, but physically we're not with the umbilical cord. So we want to generate that energy. We want to generate it by tapping into the source of our energy. And we can do that through the navel point, through our rhythm, through the chi, through the prana, but also through the mind and through the heart of love and the aspirations to love and to be happy and to have the bliss of happiness, the wisdom of compassion. Take a deep inhale through the nose. The legs will be together. And exhale through the nose. If it strains your low back, hands will be in fists under your butt. Can you show that, Rebecca? And then under the butt. And that'll help to stabilize in your lower back and from straining. If it's straining, use the hands. Be compassionate to yourself, not competitive to yourself. Inhale deeply. Fully exhale. In a moment, the legs are going to come up 6 to 12 inches and the toes pointed, and the head up 6 to 12 inches and the toes pointed. with the chest lifted like that, and relax. And take a deep inhale. Fully exhale. And come into the posture, stretch pose. And then here we are again with the navel. Come on, all my friends around the world. Work your navel. Move your navel with that rhythm. It's a global affair, a global vibe, a global community of friends. Happy helps happy. Inhale deeply. Now draw that navel point in. Lift through your pelvic floor deeply, and relax. This was test run number 1. Test run number 1. Hug your knees to your chest for a moment. Don't worry too much. It's just an exercise. But it'll help us. And relax back down to the back. Relax may not be the right word. Come back down onto the back and prepare for test run number 2. Okay, take a deep inhale. We have a whole winter ahead of us, friends. Let's go. Fully exhale. Deeply inhale. Fully exhale. Come into this stretch pose. Deep inhale. It's beautiful. It's called Uplift Our Life. Generate the energy we need to meet the call of our life, to answer the time and not be dominated by the time, to enjoy the time. Yes. 10 seconds. Inhale. Root lock is in, navel is in deep. Relax. Bravo. This was excellent. I feel like it's helping. Well, just only one more though, okay? Just only one more. And this time though, with a little happiness, a little more cheerfulness this time, okay? This is called being the master of our domain. If we want cheerfulness, we can bring cheerfulness. We're not being ruled by our depressions. And also, we're not delusional about our positivities. But we can dance in the space between. And this is what the rhythm can bring us into. Focus on rhythm, less on technique. Let the rhythm guide your technique. Take a deep inhale. Fully exhale. One more time, deep inhale. Fully exhale. Come into the position. With the rhythm. Inhale deeply. Pelvic floor lifted. Navel deep, navel deep, navel deep. Relax. And relax, relax. Good job. Amazing job. No matter how well you think you did, I think you did an amazing job. Relax. And let the mind relax. And just see for a few moments, can you just be nourished by the work? Nourished by the melting or just lying onto the earth element. Feeling the ground underneath you and being nourished by her. And inhale and exhale, relax. Hug the knees to the chest and bring the nose up to the knees or towards the knees, and then release the shoulder blades down the back. Inhale deeply. Exhale, release the shoulders down the back. Otherwise, you squeeze up tight. And then just for about a minute, inhale deeply. And here we go. Same breath. Go. Put your whole digestive energy, digestive fire, Agni and rhythm. Inhale deeply and relax. Excellent job, everybody. And can you feel that oil change? Okay, good job relaxing. Hug your knees to your chest. Rock and roll a few times. We'll relax in a moment. Come up to easy pose, Sukhasana. 3 minutes only for this one. It's no big deal. But it might feel like a big deal for a moment or two. But in 3 minutes, we can definitely give a recalibration to our electromagnetic field. Your thumbs will be out, the fingers are tucked in. But you see for yourself, that may sound whatever. It may sound great, may sound hocus pocus, whatever it sounds, it doesn't matter. The whole thing's based on experience. Try it. See what your experience is. See if it's helpful. Lift your chest. Thumbs are out, fingers tucked in. Arms are out 60 degrees. Shoulder blades release. Pelvic floor lifted. Chest soften. Inhale deeply. And then at a certain point, you hit a threshold where it's just like either it's subtle and you feel a slight tension, or it's not subtle at all and the battle is the mind on whether to continue or disengage is in full force. Feel into your body. See if you can put your breath deeper into the rhythm. See if you can relax the gaze into the space of the third eye, and see if you can concentrate on a feeling of brightening your magnetism, of strengthening your inner vitality, which includes your subtle energy, your chi, your prana, your arc line, the type of magnetic energy around the head, around the brain and the pituitary and pineal glands. in the electromagnetic field, your subtle nature, maybe even a sense of radiance. Just like the sun has a natural radiance that comes off of its glow. Maybe you could feel that from the glow of your nucleus being, your inner hidden brilliance, allowing it to shine forth through your beautiful heart, your aspirations of love and happiness, and your love for life, and your beloveds, your loved ones, and everything you love and everything we appreciate. You could even visualize like the spine, like a pillar of that type of radiance, luminosity, center of the nucleus. It's just an imagination to help recalibration. Connecting the two thumbs like a beautiful arc of light. With the rhythm. Inhale, thumb tips touching, fingers spread wide, pelvic floor lifted, shoulder blades release. Hold the position here through your nose, exhale. Deep inhale. Release the shoulder blades down the back, touch the ceiling with your fingertips. Third eye is the gaze. Hold the position here through your nose, exhale. Inhale very deeply. Lift through the fingertips, release through the shoulder blades. Pelvic floor lifted, navel is in. Exhale, slowly release. Okay, last of these exercises before the final meditation, okay? Your thumb touches the base of your pinky, and then you make a fist like this. Make a fist, cover the thumb and fist. Then it's like a back stroke over the head, like this, like you hit the rhythm, you have to move a little bit, you know? It's not a long exercise, but it is a bit of a demanding exercise. It's a beautiful exercise. It moves stuck fire, stagnant chi, and brings clarity to the mind and health and vitality to the blood. If you can't hit that speed, it's no problem. Do a rhythm that works for you. But the key is to put the breath into a rhythm and cross over the head with the fists. And feel any frustrations in your body that have been lingering on from the previous season. And allow yourself to feel frustration. It could be even anger. And allow ourselves to feel it so it can metabolize and it can move along. We have loving to do. We have purpose to live. Is destagnating the stagnations. And go. Almost there, friends. Keep the focus, concentrate. Find the frustrations, feel them, and let them release. Almost there. Keep going. Bring forth your energy. Bring forth your fire.
We got to celebrate it. 'Cause life is what we make it.
20 seconds. Inhale, interlock the hands and press the palm side up to the ceiling. Release the shoulder blades. Stretch up through the spine. And now please imagine yourself, feel yourself in a glowing field of light, in a brilliant field of luminosity, radiance, brilliance. And hold this posture, and through the O-shaped mouth, exhale. And 2 more, inhale. Enveloped, but it's not an outer luminosity. It generates from the center of everything. Exhale. And inhale. And from the very nucleus of you, shine. And relax. Relax. And for just a few short minutes, come onto your backs and just relax. Very important, this part. And to allow all of that prana chi to now relax into the body. Give yourself that gift of having a few minutes of completely letting go. Completely just allowing ourselves to relax, to be nourished, to allow the body to receive all the good circulation, to allow the tissues to be nourished, allow the mind and the heart, tender heart, to be nourished. Totally relax and let the sound just wash over you and wash through you, all the cells, all the subtle body, all the physical body, the mind. Exhale. Move your fingers, move your toes. Rotate your wrists and ankles. Rub the palms, make a little heat, rub the soles of the feet. Cat stretch to each side. Beautiful. Hug the knees to the chest, rock and roll a couple of times. And perhaps have a little bit of water. This is called the Half Star of David meditation. Nice time of the year to do this. Thumb tips touching. Jupiter tips touching, that's your index finger. And Saturn, middle finger tips touching. The thumbs will point right towards your heart center, sternum. And the other fingers will all point away from you. You hold it in front of your heart. So the Sun and Mercury fingers, that's ring and pinky, they stretch away. They're not touching. So thumb tips touching, index tips touching, and middle fingers touching, and then ring and pinky spread away. You're pointing your thumbs at your heart. You're releasing the shoulders. You want to be right up on your sit bones, perhaps using a cushion, really. And this is your posture that you endeavor to hold for just a few minutes, totally still, like totally still, ideally. This is what we're trying. But not rigid, not tight. You have a bit of a strength of a lift of your pelvic floor, allows you to soften in your upper body. Closing the eyes down softly, and then gently rolling the eyes up as if you're looking at the top of your head. This is the access point of the pineal gland. Taking a deep inhalation through your nose, and suspend the breath in as long as possible. That's keeping the breath in, yet relaxing the rib cage, the shoulders, the upper body. Suspension, not hold. And then when you need to exhale, exhale as long and slow and complete as possible. And then begin again. Inhaling as long and deep as possible. Then suspend the breath as long as possible. Then exhale as slow and complete as possible. Do it how your body is able to do it, so that then okay, I'm doing it the best I can for now. Then just commit to that for the next few minutes and hold the body in a beautiful stillness. See if you can gently roll the eyes up so that you're looking at the top of the skull, and you focus your mind at the crown of your head. That would have been the soft spot of the skull when we were little babies. We all were at one point. And you can even imagine a healing light which flows with the breath. You could even feel like the breath is flowing through that point of the crown, as a way of keeping the mind's concentration on the top of the head. It's a very beautiful healing meditation, the Half Star of David. The art and science of yoga is hidden in all the great traditions of the world. But we have to experience to keep it alive. And so that we can be here and live in this planet. And our children, and their children, we can pass on a healthier, happier life by making ourselves happy right now. Follow the breath. Just a couple minutes left to keep the mind on the crown and the breath. Inhale deeply. Suspension of the mind, suspension of the breath, spacious, expansive of the heart. And hold the position and through the nose exhale. Inhale deeply. Suspension of the breath, suspension of the mind. Hold the position, exhale. And the final time, all the presence. Inhale deeply. And then spacious, empty, stillness. Exhale, relax. Exhale. Fantastic. Shake your arms a little bit. Remember to kind of keep it in, bring it into your body. Therefore, we can bring it into our life, yeah? I love these little meditations. It's like in that little short bit of time, you can bring ourselves into where you get to that extra level of what sometimes we call shunya, which translates to zero, but there's an emptiness to it. There's a spaciousness to it. There's a suspend. I really like that word suspension, because that feels very much how the word feels, how my experience feels. Not just suspension of the breath, but suspension of the mind. We know it's a temporary space, but we're suspending ourselves there for a moment to allow things to recalibrate. And then we go on to live in our life. But the more that we do that, and the more we're becoming intimate with that space within ourselves, the more the mind is going to be well connected to what our life is all about and to what we're all about. And that's what I think is so beautiful. And this is just a little taste. But even a little taste does a lot, doesn't it? You can just, when we seal things up here, even in this moment, you can just put your sense of prayerfulness or your wishes for life into your own energy space, and then you can feel how your own energy is interwoven with everything else. And then it's not a prayer as in some sort of religious idea. It's a prayer in the sense of our experience of it. You can feel communication when it takes place. And so that's more of what it is that type of communion that's experience-based. So that's why I say we're not teaching astrology, how to do astrology, as much as we're teaching how to use astrology for a yogi's purposes of tuning the instrument. Not making a prediction about something, but understand Saturn as the Muladhara chakra and going up all the way. So in October, when we're doing this, which I know many of you know about, many of you are already coming, whether it's in person or virtually, that over a period from Wednesday evening to Sunday afternoon, every session goes through all the planetary archetypes of the psyche of the human being, and it's comprehensive. That's what makes it. It's not ultimate. It's one model of many models, but it's comprehensive in its system. Our ability to systemize how we tune up the mind, how we tune up the body. So when you're working with Mars energy, because all of us have Mars energy, and we have to deal with our Mars energy, and it's going to express itself in this next season one way or another. And so when Mars energy goes off balance, it gets angry, it gets reactive, and that's not as fun. It's just not. To be reactive and angry and so easily frustrated that, like, if somebody touches you the wrong way, you're feeling agitated. You know what I mean. The small things in our life make us agitated is what I meant by that. Well, versus where your Mars, and my experience is like this: if you can really kind of gather your life force and you kind of draw it away from the weaknesses, which we all have, that's part of what understanding the astrology shows us uniquely. So I just taught this little mini class that we're going to release really soon. We haven't even showed it to anybody yet. But basically, it's the most basic way of looking at your Vedic astrology chart, figuring out what your ascendant is, figuring out where all your planets are, what constellations and what houses, what domains of your life, the basic building blocks of understanding how to work with the planets. So that when we get to the Hidden Brilliance immersion in October, starting on the 5th or the 9th, or some people aren't able to do it during that time, so they're taking it like a home course, starting in early October and going through the next weeks at their own pace. Both of those pathways will totally be great. So when we get to that point, then we're not going to be analyzing your chart for you, but you will be able to know enough so that you can get a sense of, where do I really need to strengthen? Where do I really need to maybe soften? Where are some of the really that is my gift. I do have that. It's identifying where we're uniquely talented, identifying where we have unique challenges, and then here's the yogic part, not making one better than the other. And therefore, what that requires is experience of your real goodness that is transcendent of all that stuff. All this stuff is temporary. The stuff that comes with it, that we're reading through the horoscope. But you can also see how you can find your path to infinity inside of it. But not the best spiritual path is to be a renunciate or a monk, or some of us, our spirituality is very much in the world. And what I mean by spirituality is the blossoming of our life, the blossoming of our heart, the experience of happiness, the experience of real love that doesn't wax and wane depending on all the different things that are going on in our life. So this is the work we're doing during this transformational retreat. That's what it is. You can do it like a retreat with us, October 5th through the 9th, or you can take it like a home course over a period of days, or you can, if you join it, if you jump in for it, you're going to have lifetime access, so you can do it however you want. But it's pretty incredible, and it's definitely one of those things that's kind of impossible to explain without doing it. You got a nice taste of kind of what it's like, but then just like, when you first of all, when you're spending that much more time, not only is it, okay, you just have more time, so it's like more of like what we did here tonight, but it's no, you're able to unpack, you're able to go inside of this universe and explore it. So an hour spent on like Saturday or Sunday is going to be so rich in terms of what we've already opened up for ourselves and how we're able to work with our own energies. This is the beauty of an immersion. It just does what an hour and a half class can never do. And so we do at least 2 of them a year historically, and sometimes 3. We'll probably have one on the winter solstice as well, but this is the one that's happening now. And it's a perfect time of year to do it, as now the sun is getting to its lower point, especially in the northern hemisphere. It is especially great time to do it. Any time is a great time. But because this is the time we're working with yogic practices, just you're moving towards the darker time of the year, this is where you kind of generate the sunlight from within and do the spiritual work. And summer, sometimes that's a little harder because we're having a lot of fun, which is also a type of spiritual work. But if we have the yogic part in place, then that does turn all of our life, where you have trouble finding what is spiritual, what is not spiritual. The whole thing is. We're whole emanations of it. This tremendous intelligence of our bodies and our mind and of this universe and the planet and Mother Nature, and start to have respect. It's because it's humbling. Mother Nature is humbling, isn't she? And so thank God we get the rain. It's like, rejoice. There's something underneath it all. That's what I call the hidden brilliance, something underneath it all. And this is called the hidden brilliance immersion. So that's what's up. And part of why we do these, and the only reason we're able to do these free, is because we also want to invite you to come to the paid events that we have. And this one is my favorite. These of all the things we do, the immersions are my favorite because there's live music, masterful musicians. You've been listening to them. This one, Shannon Hayden, Jared May, Devin Ashley. Anyways, this is why as soon as I start to try to say what it is, I'm like, it just doesn't translate. You just got to come. It's fun. And if you're doing it at home, which vast majority are going to be doing it from home, have good sound system or good headphones because it's going to sound good. If you can have a good screen, because it's going to look beautiful, it's inspiring, and it delivers at home. Especially if you're carving the space for yourself, make your little nice altar space, have a nice screen to do it on. Make it fun. Don't make it this little like depressing Zoom experience. It's not on Zoom. You know, have fun. Like make it a cool experience, like you would like if you were going to have movie night with your homies or your family. Set it up like movie night. Come on. Not a little Zoom screen if you can, but also if you can only do it in your closet because you have family all over the place with your iPhone and some earbuds, perfecto. So any way works. It's $650 for the full price, but it is still on sale. The sale price right now, if you get it, it's gone up since the last time it was on sale. And the sale price right now is still incredibly good. It's $339. $650 regular price right now. It's going up soon, but it's only $339. And if you're unable to do all that in one chunk, there's a payment plan where you can do it in two payments. It's all on your page here. Everything, you can see all the sessions, you can see how they're aligned with the different planets and the constellations. We've put a lot of energy and creativity into this. It's a work of art. It's going to be fun. It's going to be beautiful. And I want to invite you to come. It's super easy. You don't have to be technologically savvy. It takes maybe a minute or two to register, and then we'll take it from there. We'll send you everything you need. Click of the button, log in, boom, it's yours. You'll have it forever. Okay, so that's what's up. Please, let's seal this experience together, ending it proper. Take your hands into the prayer pose. And as we began, so also we'll end. And feeling into our own good wishes for ourselves, but also for the others in our life. Both those easy relationships and pleasurable and the difficult ones. And then all of life, feeling into that, giving thanks. Happy Equinox. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Aki. Thank you, Life Force Academy team. All right, y'all. Come to the immersion if you can. Sign up. Don't procrastinate. Come join us if you're feeling it. Thanks so much for being here. I can't jump into the Zoom room tonight, but next time definitely will. Have a beautiful evening, everyone. Love you. See you soon.
I'm so grateful to be at home and to have a magic space. And it's really helped me carve out my boundaries.
Meditating and doing yoga by yourself can sometimes be it's difficult to stay motivated.
I just wanted to say that the energy that has been radiating from the virtual Zoom has been electrifying.
The effects that I was having just at home by myself practicing were tremendous. I mean, the bliss and the real love of just living life and being around other people was palpable.
We all need the consciousness to change. We all need the introspection, and what you're offering is guiding so many people to do it. So
his love, his kindness, his wisdom, his insight, like all of it is just such an incredible blend.
Simra and Jai really cultivate, and all of the team cultivate such a beautiful experience.
But it turned out kind of fun. I could do the virtual from anywhere I wanted.